Today, we're heading deep into the frozen Alaskan wilderness to look at a cold case that has seriously stumped investigators for about 2 decades now. It's the story of an entire family who just disappeared, leaving behind a home that was perfectly frozen in time, and a mystery that really blurs the line between a terrible tragedy and a terrifying local legend. So let's get into it.
And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? The one that makes this whole thing so impossible. I mean, this isn't just a missing persons case. It's a genuine paradox. It completely defies logic, and it all kicks off in a place that feels like it's at the very edge of the world.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're in a tiny town called Pitka, Alaska. It's the middle of winter, 2005. Now, this is a place of just unbelievable beauty, but it's also incredibly isolating. The communities are super small, everybody knows everybody, and it's right here that an entire family seemingly just evaporated into thin air. So, at the center of this whole story is the Miller family. Thomas, he was the local school principal, a real pillar of the community. His wife, Sarah, was a nurse, always taking care of people. They had 3 kids, and by all accounts, they were just the bedrock of this little town. A totally normal, happy family, just getting ready for the holidays.
And here's where things get weird, and they get weird fast. On the evening of November 22nd, everything's normal. Neighbors see the family getting ready for Thanksgiving. But the very next morning, Thomas, a guy who is never late, is a no-show for work. That's the first red flag. And by that afternoon, the police are at their house, knocking on a locked door, and all they hear is silence.
So, the police finally get inside, and what they walk into, it's not what you'd expect. There's no chaos, no signs of a fight. Instead, it's something way more unsettling. It's like someone just hit the pause button on their entire life. The house was just frozen in time.
Okay, get this. Dinner is still on the table, half-eaten. Wallets, purses, car keys, all just sitting there. But here's the kicker, the part that makes absolutely zero sense. We're in Alaska, in the winter. It is freezing, and yet, every single one of their winter coats and boots was still in the closet. The house was locked from the inside, no forced entry. It's like they just dematerialized. But wait, it gets even stranger. The most baffling clue of all wasn't inside the house at all. You see, it had snowed that night, leaving this perfect, pristine blanket of white all around the property. And there were no tracks, not a single footprint leading away from any door, no tire marks, nothing. It's as if the entire family was just plucked from their dining room and lifted right into the sky.
So you can imagine, the police are completely stumped. No physical evidence, no logical explanation. The investigation just grinds to a halt. And when logic fails, well, that's when other stories start to bubble up. And in a town like Pitka, those old stories can get pretty unsettling. They call it the legend of Whispering Creek. The story goes that on certain cold, still nights, a strange, low whistling sound comes from the creek. Some people say it sounds like voices calling, trying to draw you towards the water. And according to the legend, anyone who follows that sound is never, ever seen again.
Now, of course, for the investigators, this is just superstition, right? A local ghost story. But when a case is this cold, with no clues, no motive, no suspects, you kind of have to ask, don't you? Could there actually be a connection here? Could an old story hold the key to this very real, very modern mystery?
For months, the case was ice cold. The FBI was called in, but honestly, they were just as stumped as the local cops. And then, deep into the investigation, they found something, a huge breakthrough, hidden right under their feet the entire time.
An agent, doing yet another sweep of the house, noticed a loose floorboard in the bedroom, and tucked away underneath it was a private journal. It belonged to Thomas Miller. All of a sudden, investigators had a direct line into the mind of the family's patriarch in the hours right before they vanished.
And this was the final entry, dated the night they disappeared. It reads, "It's calling us now. Sarah hears it too. We have to go to the water." I mean, chills, right? In that one instant, the police investigation and that spooky local legend just collided. But what did it really mean? Was this a man in a deep crisis? Or was it proof of something else?
And that journal entry. That was it. The last clue ever found. And all the years since, there's been nothing. Just a deep, silent, and enduring mystery. 20 years. For 2 decades, this case has been completely cold.
And despite these massive searches covering hundreds of square miles of just brutal wilderness, not one trace of the Miller family has ever been found. No clothes, no remains, absolutely nothing. It's as if they just walked off the face of the earth. So after all this time, we're really left with two main theories. On one hand, you have the rational, scientific explanation. Thomas Miller had some kind of severe mental health crisis, maybe a shared delusion, and he tragically led his family out into the freezing wilderness. But on the other hand, you have the explanation that just defies all logic, that the legend is real, and some unknown force from Whispering Creek lured them to their doom.
Which leaves us right here with this one haunting question. What really happened in that house in Pitka? Was this the result of a human mind breaking under pressure? Or did the Millers become the latest victims of a legend that lives out there in the Alaskan snow? That's a mystery the wilderness hasn't solved yet.